Ladies, gentlemen, and everybody watching, thank you for joining me today. We're going to be looking at some very large totems, some bird effigies today. These are the art pieces that got me clued in that something was going on. At the very beginning, I didn't notice any of these faces. All I knew were the birds. And through looking at the bird effigies for about 2.5, 3 weeks, got me to see the style of art so that I could see the other images within the stones. This is a complicated, multifaceted style of art. It doesn't just pop right out at you necessarily. For some people it does, but for most people it doesn't. It takes a little bit of getting used to understanding that these people that were here before did not have paper, pencils, or paintings the way that we have them. They don't have the characters that we have today. They had their own memes, they had their own style of doing things. And so we can see these large totems here. They're not just birds, but we're going to be focusing on the birds for a couple days here because this is how I learned how to see the art. And so I want to kind of share it with you guys so that we're all on the same page here. We see this large bird here with the right side profile. It is actually much more defined on the other side, which I'll show you now. This is actually a painted in goose head. This is the goose beak. You can see the crack there for the beak, and the rest of this is showing the head. Maybe the eye is right there, but this is representing a large goose head. We're going to go ahead and take a look at several of these bird heads and full bird artifacts today. Thank you for joining me. Look at this bird effigy, this very large one. You can see how he has a little bit of a carved in eye there. I did chalk him out. So as we look at this bird effigy here, you can see the carvings in it. You can see how flat it is. This piece weighs about 200 pounds. And I want you to see the other side of it. You see how there's a large diamond? You can see these carvings in here. This is representing a large bird. It also is a human image, several human images in it. But there's a lot of things on this stone. Getting a closer look at this goose head here. If you look on the right-hand side, you can see the beak. You can also see a profile image with the eye, the nose, and the mouth being down there with the elongated skull or the large head. You can see that image pretty well, especially when we tilt it over. But if you look on the right-hand side, you can see it all. It's just a big goose head there. There's also portraits on the inside of this stone as well. So you can see how there's the socket and the nose. And if you look at the mouth, you can see how it's like a saw blade. There's several rows of mouths in this, and that is to show you all the different faces that are on this stone. There's several different images, but the whole outside image is of the goose. Some of these very large totems have very defined faces carved into them. These are repeating motifs. This big nose, big chin variant repeats over and over again in several of the artifacts that I have, including the original gateway piece. These very large crystal totems have many different things on them. There is a forked mouthed fish on here, which I believe is a salmon. You can see all this sparkle. This large piece of crystal was pulled out of the cache. You can see how it has these embedded, polished materials in there. You can see how this crystal is black in certain spots. This stone was polished. And if you look closely, you can see the eye of the fish here and how this is just a glittering fish, the tail of the salmon positioned on this stone. In the dark and in different shadows, there are several different portraits and images on this stone, including large eyes, big carvings and things on here. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few more of these bird effigies here. Of course, we all know this one. This is a full bird effigy with a left side beak with its two wings. You can really make him fly. You can twist him around a little bit, and if you look closely into the eye there, you can see the details for the eye. And I don't blame you for not being able to see this right at first, because I had this artifact for about 3 weeks before I realized it was a full bird. As you can see, it is indeed just a bird artifact. I believe it is also the Birdman of Cahokia. You see how he has that elongated nose. There's portraits on every little edge of this stone. I have several of these large spear points. So these large spear points have a lot of color on them, as you can see. There's also portraits. This is the nose, the eye, just a small little portrait in here with an extravagant headdress. But what I've noticed with these is that on every edge, on the long side or the short side, there will be a bird head. So you can see the beak and the eye of the duck head, perhaps, depicted right here on the edge of this stone, this being the beak. And you can see how on this spear point here, on the very end of it, we also have another bird here. You can see how the beak is right here, and the eye for the bird, and the tail. It's very similar to what we have here. So here we have another bird on the top here. You can see the painted in eye on the left-hand side with the beak. If you're not seeing that painted in eye, and it's right here, you can see the swoops for it. It is a classic, archaic, or old style of eye. You can see this eye. See how the beak is recessed? See this little diamond or triangle shape? Of course, the head. There's different eyes as well for this bird. So you can see the painted in eye, and then you can see the spot for the eye. If you look at the tail here, you can see how the angles on this work out. You see how the angle for the top of the head and the angles for the tail. This is a depiction of a full bird with its wing coming back here, its tail wing. I hope you guys have a good look at that and you can see that. Of course, some of these artifacts are harder to see than others. So this is an example of that. We have a very defined raven head, and if you look on the right-hand side of the raven head, you can see that there's a footprint depicted there, which is letting us know that there's more to the art than what meets the eye. If you look here, this is a cardinal head, and this is another duck head. So not all of them are very easy to spot right off the bat. These were all pulled from one site in North Carolina. Sometimes the birds are just printed on the very ends of stones, as I've been showing you here with the pottery pieces. You can see how this is just a bird. See the recessed beak and the eye. This is a multifaceted style of art. It's an interactive style of art, so it does take sometimes covering up certain points, but you can see how this is the colored portion of the stone. It is just a bird on the end of the rock here. Of course, we have raisin. This artifact I've named Raisin. It is just a little duck head. And of course, we have this duck head as well. Again, with the beak on the right-hand side. Just kind of giving you a look at what to look for when you're looking for these effigies. After studying this art for 10 months, I have found that there are memes. There are repeating patterns. Believe it or not, this stone right here, this very sharp, flat, pyramid-shaped stone is a meme of this. So it is the same bird here represented. You may be able to see the similarities there. There's little petroglyphs and etchings all over this stone. Not so much on this top stone, but on this one there is. This is a higher level stone, so there are like little petroglyphs and things on here, but they're harder to see. Many of these are magnetic. This is magnetic, and this one is as well. You can see how this is the more common birdstone that you would find at your museums. Back in the studio here, we can see that we have some totems. This is a little cardinal bird stone. It is a depiction of a bird. If you look closely, you can see the carvings for the eyes. It's pretty defined. And in this, you just hold it in your left hand. It fits in the left hand very well. And it is just a bird totem. It's a ceremonial piece or spiritual stone. We have several of these figures as well, just figures of men with mohawks. You can see the paint on this. And when you flip him over, he seems to have a beard. If you look closely, you can see the carvings and things in this effigy. Perhaps this is of a Spaniard. This three-sided duck head is kind of what we looked at outside there. You can see the white around the circle there for his eye. The recessed beak, you see the line for the recessed. So this three-tiered or two-sided, three-sided bird head shows up a lot. It is a meme. You see how the side of it comes down here. That's very similar to the one that we looked at outside. There's a very similar one here as well. This is a painted piece of sandstone. You can see the red, of course the black beak. And in different lights and in different shadows, you can see that it really does depict a bird head. Some of these are just full birds with the bird looking behind us. You can see the beak and the wing here. It's also a bird in different ways. So it's this full bird here, and then when you flip it over, it is the bird head. So you'll have the full bird, and then you'll just have the full bird head, which is depicted here. Some of these are just quartz. Sometimes they are of the chicken. Of course, we have the chicken. This is made out of pottery, this particular piece. If you look closely at the face, you can see the carvings for the eyes. I don't understand really what upsets so many people about this. I think that a lot of them are jealous. I don't understand why they're jealous. I'm just fortunate enough to have run into this because a single person has never single-handedly excavated an indigenous mound like I have. It just hasn't happened. And that is exactly what I've had the opportunity to do. And so because of that, I've been able to pick up these similar motifs, these repeating patterns, and evidence of pottery and things here at this site, which people don't know what to do. The archaeologists, the people in the archaeological departments and societies, validating my finds is like validating everybody else's finds before me. And they do not want to do that. They have told so many people that these are just rocks, that these aren't actually bird effigies. They have said that so many times that going back on what they have said now at this point is going to make them lose credibility. And I think it's sad. I think, hey, just admit that you didn't know. It's quite all right. We didn't know either. You can see the carving right in the very middle of the screen for the eye of this portrait here. Sorry, keeping the focus here, but you can see how this is just a person, a portrait of a person looking away from us. You see how the lips and the chin get defined there? And how when you come back, you can see how the rest of this is hair. This is a portrait of a woman. We have so much to go through, and I've got a lot more birds to show you, but I think we should probably cut it off here. And I will revisit with you guys some more of these at a later time. Thank you. Have a great day.